In this video, we're going to be covering round 7 of the Diamond Ridges hat. So if you haven't completed round 6, I would go back and watch this. This is what the final product will look like when we're done. We're continuing making our diamond shape, so it'll be our second row of diamond shapes. And I finished this row because I wanted to show you a little detail here that will kind of help us when we're working this row. So it's a series of, we'll be decreasing our double crochets. So if you can see in here, I'm going to pop this out for you. You can see that right here I made a decrease, so which will be alternating every other peak. So if we go around here, pick any one, this you can see is a decrease, right? Because there's only one stitch in the top, and you can see those two posts are making it. And then the next space will have no decreases, followed by a space with a decrease. So that'll kind of help you understand the pattern as we go along. So I'm going to hit pause here and unravel this whole thing, and we're going to start from the beginning of round 7 of the Diamond Ridges hat. Okay, so we're at the back to the beginning of round 7. We've got our chain 3, and we are going to be double crocheting into our first peak, followed by another double crochet, and that's getting us into the space here to create our next cluster. So we are going to do our cluster. It's exactly the same as from row 6, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Same thing, so you're an expert now. And we're going to be double crocheting into the back of these 2 stitches, just like we did for half of our stitches for from round 6. We're going to be doing it for behind every cluster this round. And then now we start a decrease. So you're going to have a space that will not have decreases, and then you're going to have a space that does have decreases. So you're going to be, the decrease is always going to start at the top of your cluster from the bottom row. So this is the stitch. So if you see here, here's the V, right? It's always going to start at the beginning of that. And then into the next one. My stitches are really tight after my clusters, so I always have to kind of find them a little, they're always really tight. So that's our decrease made, and then we double crochet into the next stitch, and that gets us into the middle of our next little diamond. That way we can form our ridge. So just like in round 6, we go behind to that last ridge, then we go forward into the next peak there, pull them together to create our box, and then work into the back, into that, a double crochet, and then because we did a decrease in this space, the next space will not have a decrease. So you'll be, let me make sure I'm in the right stitch here. So we did our one behind, and I see I just almost skipped a stitch, so I'm going to show you. You're going to be double crocheting into the top of your peak, and then the next stitch. So, and I almost skipped that. See how easy that is to skip when you're working these. So into this one, a double crochet, and that's on the top of your peak. I skipped it again. Look at that. Let's do it again. You see how easy it is to skip these stitches. especially when you're doing those front posts. So keep an eye out for those. So this one is in, so it's this one that I need to go into. And I am not going to edit out this mistake because I want you to see, even though I've been crocheting for like my entire life, I still do these silly things. So into the next one. So we've got our peak, we went behind, right? This is our behind double crochet. Then we did 2 more. So that's 3 double crochets, and then we're doing our cluster. There we go. And then when we look behind, we do 1 behind plus the peak. So let's see if we can get that. And it is a little tricky still, getting that one behind. And then because we did not have a decrease in this last space, we're going to have a decrease in this next one. So we did the behind stitch, and now we do the decrease into the next 2 stitches. So there's our double crochet decrease, followed by a double crochet, and then a cluster. So when you flip your stitches forward, you should always have 1 that's going to be behind, followed by the 1 that's in the peak. So if you end up with 2 behind, that was probably a decrease that you were supposed to make. So that's like another kind of way to kind of double checking your work and making sure that you're kind of on task. So find that back one. Double crochet into the back, and then double crochet into the peak, because we had our decrease on the last space, so we know there's no decrease on this one, so it's just 3 double crochets. And that, like I said, see how tight my stitches are after a cluster? I always have to kind of double check and take a minute to kind of pause and go, okay, am I just going to skip a stitch or what? And just take your time until you get kind of into the swing of it, and then you'll just naturally speed up. And then before you know it, you're just zooming through these things. Okay, and into the back. And then because we had a no decrease space, we know that we have a decrease space, so we'll be decreasing these 2 stitches. Here we go, followed by a regular double crochet, and then a cluster. And then we look behind and we see 1 double crochet hiding in the back. Then we've got our peak one. And if we forget, we see, we made a decrease here. See that? So no decrease on this one. And that's it, over and over again, until you get to the end of round 7. And then we'll be back for round 8. It's going to be quite a bit the same. So thanks for watching.